This is only like an hour later than we would have thought. I don't expect them to get on.
They don't even know when we're starting, so.
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll still run through our learning sponsors and everything, and then we'll, right? Okay, our learning sponsors, this year of learning, Sue and Arnie Gerlich in memory of Malka Perlman and Philip Mann, and Yisrael David ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Beryl ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Yosef Meir ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Henya Rivka Pro Razna bas Harav Tzvi Hirsch, in memory of family murdered in the Holocaust, Harav Tzvi Hirsch ben Shlomo Yaakov, Sarah bat Ephraim, Yisrael David ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Ephraim ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Adia bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Miriam bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Pesel bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shalom ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shlomo Yaakov ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shmuel ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Marcia Federbush and family in memory of her husband, Dr. Uriel Paul Federbush, Uriel Pinchas ben Harav Shimon, Sharon and Fred Liska, their family and many friends in memory of her dear mom, Harriet Friedman Edelbas Yaakov, Leslie and Gail Kaplan in memory of their parents, Harry and Marjorie Sedell and Irving and Pearl Kaplan, friends of Avi Gidler, Avram Meir ben Shimon, and Martha Gidler, Chana Bad Yeshaya, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of Toby Paris, Saratova Bad Yisrael Dov in her memory, friends of Malka Levy, Malka Bad Yosef, friends of Joe Wolf, Yosef Ben Chaim, Charlie Gelfenstein and Sam Levine in memory of Ramona Levine, Rachel Mata Bad Asher. A month of learning by Lynn Rappaport in memory of her husband, Avram Ben Sion HaKohen, by Ron and Susan Podolsky in memory of his father, Tzvi Ben Pinchas. A week of learning by Ari and Judy Cohen in memory of his mother, Fega Bat Yechiel, and her mother, Hinda Bat Moshe Zachariah Halevi. And today is the 27th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a day of learning plus Torah fund by Minnie Shavrik in memory of her father, Yechiel Yaakov ben Meshulam Nissen. Also by Marcia and Gary Schrager in memory of her mother, Miriam Yenta Bas Baruch. And that is it. May Shemas have an aliyah, Krenk Rafia, Velti Yeshua Shema Taliyah, Chol B'nai Israel, a good kabench. Yeah.
You have room for me?
Do I have room for you?
Oh boy, I'm tired.
Just walking around that much for the Hashanah.
Well, then finishing off the davening, I talked about it. So
Did a great job.
I had to get finished. It was a long davening.
Yeah, it's always a long davening.
Slow Balkara, how to make up time for him. That's
all right, Harvey. Yes, Shikoach.
Hi, Rabbi. How are you?
Yes, Shikoach.
I knew I wouldn't give up.
Okay.
Harvey, you didn't come to shul today. Where were you?
I was here in Staten Island. That's why.
Staten Island. That's a heck of a place to be. You're better off here. What daf are we up to?
Oh, thank you.
We are going to be on Zion, right?
Yes.
Here's the daf for today.
Where's everybody? They went home?
Who knows? I don't know.
Okay,
go. I'm going to start from the very bottom.
Yeah, how come it's empty there? I don't understand. Maish, what'd you do there? You chased everyone away?
I tried.
I tried.
I tried to chase everybody away. They all left after I finished.
They were sneaking out while you were davening.
You sneaked out too?
Yeah. No.
Holy cow.
Okay. Amar, bottom of Kaf Vav, Amud Beis, the last line. Amar Rabbi Zera, Tashma. All right, Mepulin Vadashin. Okay, he's trying to suggest another brighter to make a proof. Okay, about the whole question of why Hazmana, why this issue of Muktzah, part of Shabbat, all of that stuff. So he says, listen to the following brighter. Mepulin Vadashin, Dahapulin Vadashin, Meikara Chazulakos. All right, that the beans and the lentils originally are suitable, Why? Because you could put them in a container, a cup, and eat them like that. Shadin hu b'kadera. If you put them in a pot, right, to cook them, adchu laho, then they're disqualified. They're put off. Gamar b'shulayhu, on top of Kaf Zayin, all right, is where we are, I believe, right? I think that's the right daf for today.
Yes, it is the Yod Shach.
Right?
Should be the stuff.
That's what it says in the sheet. Okay. After the cooking, chazulaho, they're suitable again. So again, still dealing with the set of that issue of this part of the day render that item not valuable, not appropriate for the whole entire day. So Amar le Abaye. So Abaye says ulatamech, and according to your line of reasoning, tikshelach dera da'alma. If that's the case, then you would have a problem with cooking any other items in pots, because that would render that food temporarily not so appropriate.
Why not?
Why? Because we're going to see daha stam kederot da'alma bein hashmashot, that if you have cooking in general and you were cooking that item at twilight, right, before the yontif starts, rot chothen, they would be cooked, okay? And if you think that that twilight is really dark already, okay, that's not acceptable, right? Ula orta, but in the evening, achlinen minayu, then we would eat on, let's say, the holiday, or on Friday night, we would eat from it. Ella, says the Gemara, gamru bide adam. Those items are finished by human acts. Okay, so therefore we have a clear time frame when they are acceptable. Ask about them. When do we have to ask? Gamrubi de shemayim, when there are items that are completed. In other words, we don't always know when a fruit or when something is going to be reached its ripe such status, and therefore be muchan to be able to be used for Yom Tov or accessible or for Shabbat. That's his point. And that's where we stopped. So we now start with new material. Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya. Okay, and as we go through this is a long, long agadata, back and forth discussion. Okay, so Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya, Havele Hahu Buchra. Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya had a certain firstborn animal. Shadra lekame de Rabbi Ami. He sent it before Rabbi Ami, who was the mashgiach of Yehuda Nesiya of the right, to check if it was a mum. Savar la delom the machaze. He was of the opinion, Rabbi Ami, that he wouldn't examine it. Right? We're going to see. Amale Rabbi Zrika. So Rabbi Zrika says, V'itema Rabbi Yirmiyah, and others say it was Rabbi Yirmiyah. Rabbi Yehuda v'Rabbi Shimon, halacha ka Rabbi Yehuda. When we have a machloket between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon, the law is like Rabbi Yehuda, which would imply, but he would imply that he said it's permissible to examine an animal on Yom Tov. So what happens? Hadar Shadre Vakame the Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha. So then Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya, since Rabbi Ami wouldn't examine it, he sent it to Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha. What did he do? Savar de lo machazie. He also was of the opinion not to examine it. So what happens? Amarle Rabbi Yirmiyah. Rabbi Yirmiyah said, Ve'itema Rabbi Zrika, and others say it was Rabbi Zrika who said.
Was there about why? The question is whether you can be boding an animal.
Whether boding an animal for now with the Reish Galuta, in a sense, they would not do it. So what happens? So that's why the Gemara says, but when we have a normal machloket between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon, halacha ka Rabbi Yehuda. The law is like Rabbi Yehuda.
We follow Rabbi Shimon when it comes to Motzah.
Well, let's see. That may be. Okay. Amar le. So he said to him, Rabbi Abba, my tama lo shakav shavaktinu. What's the reason? Okay. So he says, my tama lo shavaktinu l'Rabbanan l'me'avad uvda k'Rabbi Shimon. Okay. Namely, why don't we allow the fact that the rabbis also seem to hold? Okay. That the rabbis also seem to hold similar to the view of Rabbi Shimon. Amarle, he said to him, Va'at ma b'yadech. So what are you going to do about it? He says, what do you have? Amarle. So he said to him, Hachi amar Rabbi Zera. This is what Rabbi Zera said, halacha ka Rabbi Shimon. He held that the law was like Rabbi Shimon. All right? Amar mandahu. So here we're going to say, so what happens as we continue the story? There was a certain person, namely a student, right? And what did he say? Azke va'asek v'hata. Okay. What does he say? Va'agmara l'shma'ata mipume demara. He says, if I'm privileged to go up there, and I will learn this lesson from the mouth of the master. In other words, I will ask one of these who made a decision like Rabbi Zera, okay, why the situation? So he says, Kisalik hatam ishkachele the Rabbi Zera. When I went up there, I found Rabbi Zera. Amarle, and I said to him, Amar mar halacha ka Rabbi Shimon. Did the master really say that the law is like Rabbi Shimon? Amarle, lo. So Rabbi Zera says, no, I didn't say that. What did I say? Ana mistabra amre midikatani b'matnitin. He says, I'm of the opinion that I say that it's the way it's taught in our Mishnah. Namely, Rabbi Shimon Omer, kol she'ein mumau mikarmi ba'od yom. Okay, that where Rabbi Shimon says, when the mum is not recognized from before Yom Tov, ein zeh min hamuchan. Therefore, it's
not muchan, so you can't.
So therefore, it would not be available or prepared for Yom Tov. Not only that, says Rabbi Zerav, look what he does. Ukatani la bebraita b'lashon chachamim. And then there's a braita on top of that seems to give the same message in the name of the sages. Shma mina mistabra kivate. So we learn from this that it seems logical to say that the opinion may be according to him.
Yeah, what?
Rabbi Shimon, that therefore you do not check.
Shimon also said that you don't check it?
That was his position all along. Okay?
Wasn't Rabbi Yehuda the one who said?
No, Rabbi Yehuda said you could check on Yom Tov.
He was Mekel?
He was the Mekel.
He was the opposite.
I know. So what happens? Mai havala. So it's understandable. The Gemara asks, so what's our end decision? Where does it lead us? Amar Rav Yosef, Tashma. This is Rav Yosef citing a braita. The Talya ba'ashlai Rav Ravi. That we hang it on large trees. That's a common expression. In other words, we're saying we have great authorities that seem to be of the same opinion. The Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi, as said by Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi. Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, in the name of Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. Amar Rabbi Yossi ben Shaul, who says in the name of Rabbi Yossi ben Shaul, Amar Rabbi, in the name of Rebbe, Mishum Kihila Kedosha Yerushalayim. Okay, look at that whole list. Okay, Rabbi Shimon v'Chavei Rav Amru Halacha ka Rabbi Meir. That they all say the law is like the view of Rabbi Meir. Amru, they said, V'ha'inhu kshishi minei tova. But they're much older than he is. So why are they suddenly saying like Rabbi Meir? Ela b'shitat Rabbi Meir. We're saying it follows the opinion of Rabbi Meir Amrua. That's what they said. Ditznan, right? As taught in the Mishnah, Hashochet et habachor, one who slaughters the firstborn. Va'achar kach hareh et mumo, and afterwards displayed the mum. Rabbi Yehuda matir, the Rabbi Meir omer. Rabbi Yehuda would permit it, but Rabbi Meir says, O'il v'nishchat shelo al pi mumche asur. Okay? Yeah. Since it was slaughtered, but it was not done based on, I'm going to say, the advice, okay, or the direction of a mumche asur. It is forbidden. Alma, therefore, kasava Rabbi Meir, Ri'iyat Bechor, Lav K'Ri'iyat Treifa. That this tells us that Rabbi Meir holds that the examination of a firstborn is not like the examination of a treifa, an animal close to death, okay, or that has a problem, right? Riyad Bechor Mechayim, that the examination of a firstborn animal must be done while it's alive. Riyat Treifa Lachar Shchita. And the examination of a treifa animal can be done after it is slaughtered. Umina, and from that we can say, Riyat Treifa Afilu Biyomto, that one could do the examination of a treifa animal on Yom Tov. However, I'm putting in Riyad Bechor Me Erev Yom Tov, that the examination of a firstborn must be done prior to Yom Tov. So Amar le Abai, and Abai now continues, Atu Hatam Beru'in Mumin Pligi. There, since that seems to be that case there, that they're arguing about seeing, examining a mum, that's what they're arguing about? Bekansa Pligi. No, they're arguing about a knas, a fine. The Amar Rabba Bar Rav Chana. He says as follows: Amar Rabbi Yochanan, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Bedukin Sheba'ayin. If an animal has cataracts, right? Kuli Amalo Plige, the Asur Mishum the Mashtinan. Nobody disagrees because it's possible that that status will change. Ki Pligi. Where do they disagree? B'mumin shebaguf. When there is something clearly a mum in the body, the lip is cut, the ear is broken, a limb is broken, right? Rabbi Meir Savar. What's Rabbi Meir's opinion? Gazrinen mumin shebaguf, atu mumin sheba'ayin. So we make a decree. If there's a mum in the body, we therefore assume that could be a permanent, I'm saying, mum with the eye. For Rabbi Yehuda Savar, lo gazrinen, and Rabbi Yehuda says we don't make such a decree. Now, Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, he said as follows: Matnitin nami daika, and our Mishnah is actually precise in its language to show us that. Why? The Katani, because it teaches Rabbi Meir Omer, Ho'il v'nishchat, shelo al pi mumche asur. Since Rabbi Meir says that if it was slaughtered without the expertise of the person, it is forbidden. Shma mina knasahu. We learn from this, therefore, that there is a fine. Okay? In other words, that we're saying that person who slaughtered the Bechor without the mumcha's opinion, okay, he is subject to a fine, so to speak, to a penalty.
So even if he didn't find the mum afterwards,
he still can't use that animal, right? The kakanis shmamina, that the person then is penalized, and that's what we learn from this. Now we go on with another piece. Ami Vardina. Okay, that was the name of the sage. Ami from Vardina. Chazi Bukhra de Beinasiya. He saw or examined a Bukhor from the house of the Nasi, right? Navi. So he was the He was the expert, the official bodek, right? Biyom matava lo have chaze. So here again, on Yom Tov itself, he wouldn't see, he wouldn't examine it. Right? Atu va'amrule, they came and said to him, Rabbi Ami. Then they went and brought it to Rabbi Ami, who was the regular mashgiach, not the bodek. Amar laho, and what did he say? Shapir ka'avid, delo chazi. He did the right thing by not examining it. Aini, is that really the case? Vaha Rabbi Ami, gufei chazi. But we know that Rabbi Ami himself ordinarily would examine on Yom Tov. So what's going on here? Rabbi Ami ki chaze, meit mol hava chaze. When Rabbi Ami would examine it, it was because he examined it really the day before, is when he looked at it. Ubi Yom Tov, as we go over to the next Amud, shiule kamishail hechi hava uvda. And on Yom Tov, he would ask a question of the person, what was the incident? What happened? What caused the mum? Ki ha, as in the following case.
So wait a minute, if he asked them, means he allowed it? No. Did he allow it, or what did he
We're going to see. The story is not over yet. Okay, that's why I said this is really a long piece of Agadata, back and forth on this issue. Like the following incident. Dahahu Gavra, that there was a certain person, right? Maybe he was even a Kohen. Da'aite Bukhra Lekame de Rava, Afnaya de Ma'ale Yomatav. And he brought a Bechor before Rava, when on the afternoon to the eve of Yom Tov. Haviyativ Rava, V'kachi Efreshe. And Rava was already getting ready for Yom Tov because he was already washing his hair. Dali Eine, V'hazia Lemume. He lifted up his eyes and he saw the moon. Amarle, he said to the person, Zil ha'idne v'tala machar. Go away today, come back tomorrow. Ki atala machar amar. When he came back tomorrow, he said to them, Hechi avid uvda. What was the incident? What happened? Amarle, he said to him, Have shadiyan sa'are bahach gisa dahutza. He said, I had thrown some barley corn on the other side of a thorn fence, va'ava ihu be'idach gisa, and the animal was on the other side of the thorn fence. Vahade debai lemecha, he came over and he wanted to eat. Ayel reshe, he stuck his head through the thorn fence. Uparte chutza lesfote, and it split. It tore, the thorn split part of its lip. Amarle, he said to him, okay, so here's now Rava's continuation. Dilma at grample, maybe you caused this to happen. In other words, maybe you purposely put the food there so the animal would go through, and therefore as a Kohen, you would be entitled to eat the animal as opposed to have to bring it as a korban, right? Amarle, he said to him, no. Umina temra de garma asur. And on what basis do you say that if you caused it, it would be forbidden? Titania, as taught, mum lo yebo. It should not have any kind of mum. En li ela shelo yebo mum, which implies that it should not have any kind of mum. Minayin shelo yegrom lo al yedei devar acher. How do we know it shouldn't be caused by some other situation? Shelo yavi batsek odvela v'yaniach lo al gabe haozen, that the person should not bring some dough or bring some figs, dried figs, hang it on the ear of the animal, kadei sheyavo akelav v'yitmenu, and the dog would bite to get at the food, and it would bite the ear of the animal and therefore cause the mum to occur.
If he's hanging something on the ear, isn't that sort of work? And it would be
Well, it means
He wants to attract the animal.
he wants to attract the dog to bite
I know what he wants to do, but just hanging something on his ear.
It's not work.
That's not
maybe
not
no,
work.
it wouldn't
That's
be
not work.
working the
That's not-
first
that's not
time,
considered.
right? It could be just a decoration. Remember, we had somebody that held
Work
that.
as if he
Because
made
works
the
it is
dog.
disqualified.
Then it's disqualified, right? All right, Talmud lomar kol mum, amar mum va'amar kol mum. Right? So when it says mum, it means any mum. Okay. New Mishnah. Okay, we're away from that back and forth story. Okay, but we have a different story. Now, we gave the question of a bachor. Now we've got a different kind of situation with an animal. Matnitin, says our Mishnah, behema shemeta, an animal that has died. Okay? Lo yizi, right? Right. Lo yizizena mimkoma. One cannot move it on Yom Tov. Uma'aseh, and there was an incident. V'sha'alu at Rabbi Tarfon alei, and they asked Rabbi Tarfon about this. Not only that, but they also asked him, V'al hachala shenit meit, v'nichnas lebeit hamidrash. Okay, and they also, while they asked him about the dead animal not moving it, they asked him about tamei chala. And so what did he do? He went into the base midrash, v'sha'al, and he asked his colleagues, va'amrulo, and they said to him, lo yizizam mimkomam, that you're not to move them from their place. So the Gemara says, now, lema snan stama deloke Rabbi Shimon. Shall we say here that this Mishnah is not taught according to the view of Rabbi Shimon? Okay? D'tnan, as was taught in a Mishnah, Rabbi Shimon Omer, mechatchin et hadlu'in lifnei habehema ve'et hanavela lifnei haklavim, that it's permissible on Yom Tov, right, to cut up the gourds before an animal or to cut up a dead carcass before dogs. That was Rabbi Shimon's opinion. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Im lo hayta nevela me'erev Shabbat asura, that if it wasn't already dead, right, before Shabbos, right? Well, here that's Rabbi Yehuda is citing Shabbos. Okay, it's forbidden. Afilu tema Rabbi Shimon. Notice as the Gemara says, we might say that this particular Mishnah is also according to Rabbi Shimon. Why? Modeh Rabbi Shimon b'balei chayim shemetu. That Rabbi Shimon acknowledges that with animals that have died, she'asurin, okay? Ha nechalamar de bar amemar.
But if a person dies, we do permit him to be buried.
Right. That's kavod hamet.
Right.
That takes precedence.
Right. Not on Yom Tov.
On Yom Tov.
Even on your second day Yom Tov.
On the second day Yom Tov, but not the first day.
No. I think the
first day they can be buried by non-Jews.
Yeah.
Second day they can be buried Jews.
Okay. I had one, by the way.
I had once that. Yeah.
And we walked to the cemetery actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was
on the first day Yom Tov.
First day Yom Tov, they would bury by using non-Jews.
But he said they did it themselves.
No.
On second day.
It was the second day.
But that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
He died on the first day. The second day.
I remember walking from Shul. We finished davening and walked to the cemetery. Fortunately, it wasn't too far away.
No, I was about at least a half a mile away.
I had a case. My father died just before Yom Tov.
Mm.
So they had to wait the whole Yom Tov.
Today we wait. We don't do that. Most of the time we don't do that anymore.
We buried him Chol Hamoed.
Yeah, of course. Chol Hamoed is no question.
Right.
Then I had to wait.
Yeah, just sit shiva. You don't sit shiva until
after Yom Tov.
And the last day counts as the first day.
Right. That's acceptable. That explanation is acceptable according to Amar Bar Amemar. Mishmei de Rabba, in the name of Rabba da Amar, who says, Modeh haya Rabbi Shimon, that Rabbi Shimon would acknowledge, the Balei Chayim Shemetu Sha'asurin, Shapir, that an animal that died, all right, that is forbidden. That's well. Ela Lamar Berei de Rav Yosef. Mishmei Derabba. But according to him, the Amar Chaluk Haya Rabbi Shimon, that Rabbi Shimon disagreed that even with animals that died, they had a machloket as to whether it was healthy animals, dead animals. My ikalamema. What can you say there? So the Gemara tells us, Tir Gamur. All right, this was interpreted by Zeiri, but Behemat Kodshim. We're talking about consecrated animals, Daika. And indeed, we might say that this was precisely the case. Daika Nami. The Katani Ale, because it was taught in this, Ba'al Hachala Shenitmeit, because it included the second question, which was about Chala that became Tam. Machala de Kadisha, Af Behema de Kadisha.
Was a Bchor, wasn't it? Okay.
Right? Elatama de Kadisha. But what about the reasoning being sanctified? Ha de Chulin Shaya. This would imply that if it was Chulin, it would be permitted. Ha Nechlamar Berei de Rav Yosef. This would then be acceptable to the explanation of Mar Berei de Rav Yosef, Mishmei de Rabba. The Amar Chiluk Haya Rabbi Shimon, Af B'Balei Chaim Shemetu Shemutarin Shapir. That here where he says Rabbi Shimon did disagree, okay, that dead animals are permitted. That's well. Elalamar Berei Amamar. Mishmei de Rabba the Amar Mode Haya Rabbi Shimon B'Balei Chaim Shemetu Sh'asurin. But what about this other guy's explanation, all right? Mar Berei Amamar, who said, no, Rabbi Shimon says they're forbidden. My Ikala Meimar, what can you say there? Hacha b'ma'iskin, and what are we talking about? B'mesukenet, we're talking about an animal that was sick. V'divrei hakol, and therefore only dying consecrated animals are actually considered muktzah in that case. Okay, matnitin, as we'll finish up now, matnitin, another Mishnah says, ein nimnin ala behema. We don't register to be part of a group and to purchase meat on Yom Tov. That's what it means. All right, we don't register nimnin to purchase meat, okay, like Pesach, all right, on Yom Tov. Aval nimnin alea me'erev Yom Tov. But the day before Pesach, on the 13th of Vadar, or morning of the 14th of Vadar, I could register to pay somebody to be part of their group. And then they slaughter it and they divide it up. And then they would have to pay their portion after Yom Tov on Chol HaMoed.
I'm missing something.
Okay? In other words, I want to be part of your group.
So you can't come.
I can't on Yom Tov itself.
Why can't I become a member?
In other words, that afternoon, that day of Yom Tov,
yeah.
Okay?
Why can't I join the group? I'm not paying anything.
Because it's like a commercial act. All right? That's the only answer I can give you, as we're going to see. Because the Gemara is going to tell us, my ein nimnin, what do we mean we can't register to pay for be part of the group? Damim lechatchila ala be'ema b'yom tov. Right? Ein poskin. Right? We can't set a fixed, my nimnin, Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, he says as follows, Ein poskin damim lechatchila al ha-behema b'yom tov. We can't set a fixed price for a portion of an animal on Yom Tov.
So what does he have to do? He has to wait till Pesach.
Oh, we're going to see. The Gemara is going to tell us in just a minute.
Yeah, wait till
okay?
Tomorrow,
so no, I'm going to finish it up. Otherwise, you'll be in Saras, right? All right. So what do we do? Hechi Avid, what do we do? Says the Gemara, Amar Rav. Mevi shtei bahemot. We bring two similar animals. Stand one next to the other. V'omer zo kazo. And we say this one is like this one. Tanya nami hachi. And we have a braita that teaches as follows. Lo yomer adam lechaveiro. The person cannot say to his neighbor, Hareini imacha b'sela. I'm with you for a sela. Hareini imcha b'shtayim. I'm with you for two. Aval omer lo, but he can't say to him, Hareini imach lemechza,
In other
for
words,
the
it's not, it can't be
shlish, for
specific.
the ravia. No, he can say, I'll share
It's
half
about-
the animal with you.
Right, so it's not a specific figure.
I'll share a quarter of the animal
So
with
it's
you.
not specific.
I'll
with the
share a
figure.
third of the animal with you.
It's the price,
And
but you
then
can't
what
discuss the
happens,
price until
right?
later.
You take that other animal,
Yeah, and
you clarify what its value
After-
is
after Yom Tov.
after Yontif, and then you're able to divide up the money. And that's where we'll stop right there.
I remember on Yom Tov, I used to go down to I lived on top of a grocery store. I used to go down to the grocery store and take some bottles and so forth. And after Shabbos, I get them.
All right, Harvey. Take care.
Yeah. I thank you. Have a good Yontif.
Everyone
Everyone have a good,
All right.
have a good day. All right. Take care. Thank you. We'll see you when I come back.
On the whole